Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Agnes, for having me here. Today, when we want to talk about this coming e-invoicing, and it shall be implemented for those with 100 millions revenue and above, started from 1st of August. Then phase by phase, you know that by July next year. So basically, those companies with revenue more than 150,000 so far, as we know, the threshold, that will be eligible and has to be obliged to this e-invoicing. So it's probably the most important tax reform right after the GST. So now, first of all, I believe that many people will have that questions in their mind.
Yeah.
Why implementing e-invoicing? Yeah, that's I guess a question that I have in my mind as well. So how would you see this as a professional?
Thanks, Doctor. Why implement e-invoicing? Yeah, I think this is a very simple question, but with a very lengthy answer, I would say. I think the country has come to a stage whereby we do need to actually bring ourselves to certain level playing field for the benefit of the businesses in many ways, right? If I may just route outside of e-invoicing as a topic and then just talked about the tax landscape as a whole. At the moment, Malaysia, we are having a situation whereby our shadow economy come to 21% of our entire GDP. That is a very big numbers. So shadow economy means we have that amount of people who has not been paying taxes. Either they have not been paying taxes, or they have under-report taxes, or they have over-report expenditure, whatever that number is. The government has done quite a fair bit as well, like for example, Special Voluntary Disclosure Program, right? That was actually ended in May, whereby they encourage taxpayers to also please come forward, so that we create a same level playing field for all businesses, right? And I'm not sure whether you know the result, but if you do not, I would like to give you the stats, right? The government is actually expecting about 50,000 companies to come in to have a collection of maybe about 1 billion. The good news is when the SVDP was concluded, right, they collected 1.26 billion. So they exited whatever they collected. And the number of taxpayers that come forward was about 66,000. So which also exited the 50,000 taxpayers that they are looking for. However, the interesting part is in the details. The details is, out of that 66,000, 6,000 of the taxpayers, they come forward and volunteer themselves. They do their special volunteer disclosure to say they have underestimate 100 ringgit in tax underpaid. Okay, in order to get that endorsement to say that you don't come and audit me, you know. And then another close to about 50,000 is actually come forward with additional tax of less than 10,000 per taxpayer. All right, so again, to get that written a commitment from the government to say, hey, you don't come and audit me. So with that number set aside, you got a balance of 10,000 people totally contribute to that 1 billion that we are talking about. So has that program successful? Yes and no, I guess, right? So you are pushing the authority to a situation to say, hey, there are still a lot of things, you know, under the iceberg, isn't it? So to give an equitable environment for tax collections, e-invoicing is something that is here to create further clarity, I would say, right, to businesses, to bring them to the same state with you. E-invoicing from the Inland Revenue point of view, or from Ministry of Finance point of view, is one of the tools to bring it up to that level. That is why it is so important for the government to really push forward the implementation of e-invoicing.
A very interesting point when you deliver those facts. You know, it is about how private sector or businesses can game the rules.
Yeah.
You know, in order to look legitimate, but at the same time, you know, to avoid the cost of paying that. So I'm going to ask you about how, or is that possible that the businesses can actually game this e-invoicing slightly later, right? But I want to continue from where you stopped just now. Now, you try to tell us about why to implement e-invoicing from government point of view.
Yeah.
But how about from businesses' point of view? Because I heard a lot of people, those doing business, they will say that this is really something that out of nothing, that the government is trying to do something like to impose burden on us. Business environment already very difficult, the cost of doing business, it's already rising. Now you want to do something that brings no benefit to anyone. So that will be what they have in their mind. So how would you advise being someone dealing with so many clients every day?
I share their pain. in a way, to a certain degree, I agree that it is not comfortable, because I'm also a little private sector businesses. Shaika Ong, right? We are also in business. Will e-invoicing implementation increase our cost? The answer is it will. Just during the quick sessions, one of our participants today was saying that, Agnes, I got a quote, my API is going to cost me 4,000 ringgit. And then my client, which is a developer, his API costing quotation is about 40,000 ringgit, right? So is that cost? There is cost. So the question is it a pain to the business? I think if I may use this statement that I heard from the CEO of Inner Revenue himself, he says, okay, the beginning of any change is definitely painful, and the midterm of the change will actually have to be messy. It has to be messy, all right? But the end of the change will actually be gorgeous and beautiful. And why this statement was actually made is simply because today's era, right? Do you think your staff wanted to do paperwork, or they want to do digitization kind of thing? I think getting a staff to do the old-fashioned way of doing things is very difficult already. So from a business perspective, to move into a digital era is needed. Putting aside e-invoicing, which is another digitization process that you actually have to make. Because what it does is you can no longer do a paper, handwritten invoices, right? It has to be computerized, and it has to route into the system. It has to land into this cloud called My Tax Portal under the Inner Revenue. It will endorse with a little QR code, and then it come back down to you behind the scene, and then voila, it's legalized and rectified, and then this invoice only is legit to send out, right? That is the behind the scene, how the e-invoice actually look like. Okay, that is your invoice. It's going to have that little Dobby chop of that validation code, and then it became, So hence, how do you call digitization for invoicing have to happen. So is it a cost? It is a cost. How would it actually create competitiveness? Another client shared this information with me. He is a small business himself. He has single client, single customer base. However, that single customer base is a big company who is part of yesterday's implementation, above 100 million. So for the supplier, for the customer, he said, look, if I am going to spend money to ensure my things into a digital environment, I am not going to stop there. I want to ensure everything is going into version 2.0. So I wanted my supplier to be at the same state as I am. Otherwise, I wanted to change my supplier. So he was under pressure that he got to do an early adoption. If he doesn't become an early adopter, all right, even though he sells cheap, the account payable division cannot sign off this person as a qualified supplier, because the management has made a decision. The decision is, I only dealt with someone within my entire ERP environment. So unless you are saying that you are dealing with only those people that are small businesses, or maybe men on the street, then e-invoicing maybe will nothing but a cost to you. But if you are on a B2B and you wanted to actually grow your business forward, you will be sidelined in the matter of time. May not be today, but eventually it will. Nowadays, when I go to buy my coconut drink by the roadside of the petrol station, they also give me a touch and go for me to scan. So it is the same thing. Change come into your life without you knowing. It will come one day, our children, maybe not us, our children don't carry cash. Maybe not our children, maybe us. In 5 years time, we don't carry cash. We carry phone. Wallet can't be sold because it's all in the digital environment. So you don't move into this era in many ways.
All right. This is exactly the puzzle that I have in my mind. So like you said, because everyone is doing it or will be doing it, so if you are not doing it right now or sooner, then you will be kind of lagging behind, and then you will lose your, so to speak, the competitiveness. All right. But then that kind of competitiveness is some sort of being forced to do so.
Yeah.
If it's not because when I have done something different, then it will give me new revenue, it will expand my business, it will allow me to have a different market access. So my questions, my follow-up questions will be, if I am the early adopter to this e-invoicing, even though probably I can still wait, but I want to be early adopter, is that possible that this e-invoicing system itself could not only become part of investments, not to be lagging behind, but allow me to be to have like a early adopter advantage in being able to push forward my market access? If that's possible, can you describe how that landscape will be? How the advantage will come to those early adopters?
Now, that's a very good question, to be honest, because the answer can be yes and no, right? I would say for early adopter, even for us, we wanted to push for our own early adoption. Yeah, we are part of the July implementer. We are not part of this round, neither are we come under January the 1st. That's how small Shaka Ong is. Why I do an early adoption? Would it actually mean that it will give me an advantage for better revenue? I would say I won't be able to confirm that, but it may give me a different space for different clientele or customer base. Okay, so whether that customer base will result in a better profitability, that it's a marketing strategies matter, that's a business matter. But you will come outside if you do not go, if you don't evolve. I would say e-invoice may be a start, but e-invoice is not the end. With the government pushing for FDI, right, coming to the country, if you are just still the so-called like the traditional China Apek thinking that me being the lowest cost is going to make me having the advantage, I think that mindset is no longer there. It's no longer there. Because for big businesses, it's more than just cost. There are other things like business risk. There are other matters. So to be able to systemize you together, or you are within my entire ERP flow, is important to me. It's important to me. So I can go for supplier. If you look into big company, you will realize that when they choose for multinational, when they choose accountants, whether I like it or not, they won't choose me. They choose the Big Four. They got no ticket to choose anyone else. Why? Yeah. So you need to equip yourself at certain business environment, at certain settings, so that you can be chosen. Whether you can make business or not is another matter. Can you make profit or not is another matter. Right? So it's more than just being cheap, I think. So e-invoice adoption, in my book, I wrote about that. Just to let everyone know, I sector my book into two parts, the orangey color part and the blue part. So the orangey color part is actually for like when you implement, there are things that you have to do, but the blue part is we talk about that particular mindset. So when we talk about the mindset, I also move into that direction. That is, we believe it is a beginning. E-invoice is where you start. If you have not started doing anything, especially for SMEs, right? This is where you start your journey. and maybe you take it as the excuse or reason to automate yourself, to make your processes as humanless as possible, automate as possible, so that you become a modern company whereby you can put yourself ahead to be chosen by your customer sometime. And one very important thing about e-invoicing is the ultimate goal of e-invoicing. The ultimate goal is the PEPPOR plugin. The PEPPOR plugin is an IT jargon whereby when I issue an invoice via the PEPPOR, this particular document goes straight into my customer's accounting software. We don't have that conversation that says, can you invoice me your invoice again? Can you email me your invoice? I lost it. Nothing lost in between because it goes straight through to your system. But at the moment, that costs too much money. Who is managing PEPPOR? MDEC is managing PEPPOR. They are charging per transactions. I think they have not finalized the price, but if they charge 40 cents per transaction, it's already a lot of cost by just doing the plugin. And globally, there are countries that is a lot more mature in their PEPPOR environment. Like in Malaysia, we are very new. We are taking our baby steps. We are not there. But our infrastructure of e-invoicing is pushing us towards that.
Will Sharika Ong lose their job later if that happens?
Oh, you know what? That is a very good question. There will be one particular service that Sharika Ong may have risks in getting the job. You know what? That is tax audit and investigation consultation work. Why? You see, the moment that the Inland Revenue force you into an e-invoice environment, your e-invoice, your invoice, Inland Revenue has a copy. So how are you going to change the content of the invoice? You see, when we do a tax audit and investigation, doctor is like this. Okay, the Inland Revenue says, oh, you know what, this company got this extra tax to be paid. We look in the document, we say, no, I can justify the expenses. I provide you with additional documentation. No. These particular statements was not tax friendly, but it is actually deductible. And then I won't say we temper the documents, but we beef up and improve the documents. Okay, we don't temper the document. We can't do that anymore because it's coded. Once it's in the system, it's coded. So how will the landscape be in the longer run? Is audit required? The audit may not be required, right? Because you got to be accurate the moment that you do your invoices. Meaning your post system, your AR girl, your AR clerk, the one that help you to issue invoice, okay? It is not a situation whereby, oh sorry, can you please bill to another company? Cancel invoice, bill another company. Oh, that is a long way, You have to tell the system there's a changes or there's a cancellation and come back. So every single thing is audit trail. So I may actually lose that part or the services, but I got to face it. I'll still have to face it. Yeah.
So in other words, can I summarize in such a way that by implementing this invoicing for businesses, it is not just about a different mechanism on how to key in or how to issue the e-invoice, but it would involve how you manage the company.
Exactly.
Including, like for example, like you said, how the clerk themselves should have sufficient knowledge on managing all those invoices themselves, and then including how you probably have to revamp your marketing strategy or business strategies on how to probably, for example, take advantage of these invoicings to, like what you mentioned earlier, to tap different business clients, business segments. So it will be. I like the sentence that you have in your book. It becomes a springboard to foolproof your future, your business in the future. How to really transform your business model and come up with new strategies, following the implementations of this invoicing. So therefore, the mindset of the businesses shall not be only about, okay, I have to come up with a cost again, I have to upgrade my system, so on and so forth, but then put a full stop there.
Yeah.
And it will be a waste to the company when it comes to the transformation.
Exactly. To me, it's like definitely this course. It is a good timing for you to look into a change in you. And I really hope that SMEs see in that light. See in the light that you got to let go of certain way of doing things. Okay, you got to let go of like, how am I going to save this $1 of tax? Through the wrongdoing means. You probably have to go through, like for example, how am I going to save through my way of doing business? What are the other cost efficiency I need to look in? And then move your business forward. You have to put the tax aside. I know why Malaysians are still looking into the tax rate. Because like it or not, Malaysians, our tax rate is still very high. Because of that, we feel the pinch. We feel the pinch when we pay our taxes, right? Now, we need to let that tax base to be expanded. Just now I highlight the shadow economy was 20%. That's actually quite big, isn't it? What is that number? Would that be in economical term?
That is already underreported, so it shall be close to 30% of the GDP. That's a huge size.
Exactly. And there is another information, Doctor, to feed it to you. OECD actually had another report that actually shows that Malaysian tax payment, purely on tax payment, this is now we talk about shadow. So we talk about what is the real tax payment. The tax over GDP is 11%. Right? So you have 11% of tax that is financing the entire nations. And not forgetting, our tax collection money is 80% of the total government budgets. Right? So it's very heavy on everyone. Before we talk about tax rate reduce, we got to ensure everyone is paying taxes first. Right.
So this is more like the government is now enlarging the tax base to enable to reduce the tax rate later on.
Correct. So it is like firstly using e-invoicing to transparent your transactions. Right? To transparent your transactions, to understand you better. Yes, I know you will feel naked, but it is a painful journey that we have to go through to achieve a more efficient economy. Am I right, economist?
Yeah. So that means no more two set of book accounts then.
Exactly.
All right. So now we are done with the blue color side of the book, right? About the mindset, about how we should view this invoicing. Then now we go to the other part of your book, right? From more philosophical stuff. Now let's go to the more practical stuff. So how should the company start from step one for this invoicing?
You see, when I first started looking into e-invoicing, I thought, wow, this is another business opportunity for Shaika. That was what I was happy about, no? Then the moment that I look into it, the moment that I was thinking, this little animal is turning shapes. Then I realized that e-invoice may not be purely a financial matters. It may not even be purely a tax matter. So e-invoicing, how do we start? Is very much different from one company to another. Some company, your e-invoicing project, it is an IT transformation project. Some company, your e-invoicing projects, your compliance is actually purely a data and business processing transformation project. Meaning you need to change certain workflow. And then you pay the IT for the plugin and you are done. All right? There are some is tax issue, tax project. Why? If you are an aggressive taxpayer businessman, okay, you are very prone to changing things. Right? Today you are hand-tied because our e-invoice will stop you from doing the change. It actually changes your daily environment. You can no longer ask your staff and say, hey, do this change because audit haven't been done yet. Your invoices already been collated. what it is for is already been clear. So some people may be a tax project, some may be a financial project, because because of the way invoices are to be issued. For I give you an example, doctor. In the e-invoicing implementation, that's one thing about commission. Just now, our agent actually talked about commission. He was asking me about commission. Hey, I'm an agent. So how? Sorry, if you're an agent, now you wait for people to self-bill you. Okay? You self-bill you. There is an FAQ that says, I can self-bill you based on accrual basis. If I may make it a layman term for everyone, let's talk about property agent. Property agents. Property agents, right, they report their income based on income received. They receive, then they report. Okay? But right now, the rights to issue the invoice is no longer in their hand, The law changed it to be in the upper stream, another stream up hand. So basically, agents now waiting for their customer to bill them, issue the invoice. And the law says self-bill can be done on accrual. So, Dr. Wong, you are an agent, you are a property agent. I'm a developer. You help me to sell property, okay? So, I'm preparing my account. Your bill is in my hand. I help you to bill. I bill myself, I say you bill me, then we submit, is your income, my expenses. This bill, it can be on accrual basis. Last time, when I pay you money, only I record as expenses. When it's on accrual basis means I can accrue, but I have not paid you, I can accrue in my book. I have my tax savings, and please go and pay your tax. So there is a very, very big little change, but important change, isn't it? So it changed the landscape of that financial initiative. So you as an agency, right, you have to quickly run to your customer and say, hey, boss, you cannot anyhow self-bill me, okay? Because you have not paid me, right? We have to go back to our old business approach of doing things. So there are certain agreements and certain touch base need to happen, right? So for certain people, so like I said, different businesses, e-invoice impact them differently. So they have to firstly let us know, or you yourself need to see what kind of company I am. Step one will be, of course, call Shaikan Ong if you can. Or internally, through your own learning, you identify where will be your potential issue area. If your issue area are mainly on finance, then maybe the finance team will need to be the team lead who need to take responsibility of the implementation. If it is the operation team, that is the key factor. Finance people just listen to instruction after the decision of the change, okay? Then they take a secondary role. It will be another group of people who take the team lead. So it's very much company by company basis. So e-invoicing, as we looked into the matter, we realized it's not, we cannot conclude that this is an accountant's worries.
But then can we invite the accountancy company like Shaikan Ong to come in to help to diagnose the problems? Yes.
So that is the important part. So it will be going through by fact-finding the company first. Which are the area, to really understand the company, to say, okay, your e-invoicing tweaks will have to happen here. Then only we look into how many business units are involved, and then only form a steering committee.
All right.
And then only you spearhead your respective, initiative, identify the initiative, discuss the initiative, etc. So it is that kind of process. Okay. Like I said, the easiest thing may come out to be the plugin. That may be the easiest thing. Pay IT the money, API link up, that one will go in. But the processes may be the one that's impacting. We have a legal firm partners here, right? So they will also have their shared challenges, right? Because lawyers, you may be under a pro forma invoice environment, right? So how pro forma invoice now today, for a payment to be made, I need to see your e-invoice. So the income, does it mean you're going to recognize it earlier, your timing or invoice, So every company, every industry will actually have totally different output. But regardless, the framework will actually be, in our point of view, is step one, identify who is in the steering committee. Only we talked about who is in the action committee of the various working group. Working group comes after a steering committee is identified on who is accountable.
All right. So how long, therefore, that process will take place? And what kind of cost will incurred along the way of preparing towards this?
Depending on how many sector of the business flow will require fine-tuning to move towards the compliance side. So some may be couple of meetings, then you realize that, not big of an issue. I just issue a memo, instruct certain instruction to be done, and then I call my IT, and then I ask on certain plugin. I look into the design of my invoice. How am my invoice going to still continue to look professionally? And then I'm ready to go. But there may be companies that may take much longer time than that. It's depending on how many sectors you go through. People that who dealing with like for example, marketing agent company, they deal with a lot of agents with different branches. They may require a little roadshow of themselves to tell them that, hey, this is how you gather your claims, this is what you actually do, a lot of things. Now, Dr. Wong allow me to also add on. I know the government have do a lot of compromisation, right? It started with your invoice need to carry 55 different informations because governments are collating data. They are collecting data, they are creating their big database. They wanted to analyze the business behavior. Okay. From there, they start saying that, okay, the compulsory field are getting lesser and lesser. But for those of you may have already registered yourself the MyTax portal, okay, you will realize that the 55 fields are still there. It's just like Google form. The one with the red asterisk will be the compulsory field you got to fill in. Okay? The one that is without the red asterisk, you can let it go at the moment. But do you know that particular forms that they are having right now on their portal, all the fields are there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Inland Revenue wanted to have better quality. All they have to do is just to put another red star onto one of the field that will become compulsory moving forward. So I will always think that since gathering information is the number one challenge for all company, okay, gathering your customer informations, the SST number, the whatever TIN number, those will be the first hurdle you have to jump through. You try to be as kiasu as you can. You collect as much information as you can based on the 55 field. It may not be compulsory today, but Inland Revenue can just overnight put another asterisk onto it, it will become a compulsory field. Yeah, take note of that.
All right. Now, so it sounds like I initially would think that the most difficult things, the most costly process of e-invoicing will be the IT part, where you had to revamp the system, connect system to the agency, but it turns out to be the first steps. The steps like to. So I will believe that there's really will be like taking this chance for the companies to really rethink, to relook into, to diagnose the company's problem, rethink their business strategies. Along the way. So like you said, it is a springboard for all those stuff. All right. So. All right, so that will be our conversation about what we have in the book. So because we have about like 20 minutes.